Yeah, okay, well I'll do a couple of minutes about just being a girl and a woman.
It's more the discussion.
Because then it'll make sense.
Anyway,
Sorry?
it's more the audio.
I guess, yeah, because I was thinking about, why this issue. I don't know, yeah, as a girl, I can really think about, I was a shy girl, and then I slotted myself into the gender role where, I was quite attractive to boys, but my personality and how I look to them. So that attention, whatever is, from probably about 15 to 25, I was just always with a boyfriend. I always did what they were doing in their life, and so that led me to and having no real education, as in, I mean, now that I'm at university, it feels like if I went to university, it would direct me to thinking instead of just listening to whoever I was with. Yeah, so then getting pregnant, and enjoying my gender role because I was acceptable as a woman. And I can see how, society has needed it or wanted it that way, and I was also in the punk scene, so it was, very divided, but, the punk scene is it's quite, the boys ran that scene as well, like you could feel like, but so I guess that's another, but, having a baby, the first baby, and then, what else? Still being very shy. But just thinking, I've got to be a feminist because, and I'll always be a feminist, and I think I'm a radical leftist, but with feminism, it's very complicated. I can't even think now about it, but because I'm studying it at uni, and there's things I've learned that are very sexist, but then it comes and goes, but yeah, my experience is that I'm in Australia, but then I was thinking just today that I'm the daughter of a migrant person who is kind of lost in this society. She lost her community out there in Malta, and she's just a very social person, and we lived in a place, I look at Danny and I'm like, it's a place where there's all these cultures, and everyone's left their cultures. Usually they're quite community-based cultures and very traditional, and they're in this country where they're all looking after each other, and we can talk about, racism and stuff against them, but I just felt like we all hung out together, and, it's quite a low socioeconomic, so who were struggling. Yeah, but anyway, as a woman, I don't know. Now, because so much has changed, especially in the last few years, I just couldn't be against anyone. Everyone had to agree with me. I had to be, and I know getting older doesn't make me less attractive to people, but when you're a woman, me. And from when women say they become invisible, it really feels that way. Like, you have to be a young woman to have that worth in that kind of, how you look and how, So, that's just from, you're walking the streets and you're just getting, how can I judge that I'm invisible just by strangers? It's a bit stupid, but my worth was like, how you look and that you can have babies, and I had my tubes tied, and even thinking, my worth's gone just because I've had children, but I don't have the ability to have them anymore. So just this strange feeling. But I've moved from that
Do you think
to
that's
just
influenced by somebody?
Mum. Oh yeah. Well, there's it'd be layers, and that would be probably a big. But that's so interesting. I think it would work, questions. Because I spent a lot of time in 12-step groups where everyone gets a time to share, and no one would, not allowed to step in. But I think here, especially if there's opposing views, that instead of like, you're wrong because of this, let's argue. Oh, let me understand by asking more questions. So, should I move on to maybe a man next?
You're presuming.
Maybe we should.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
That's I heard you.
I know, yeah.
Yes, I'm Simon. I'm a man, and
Do you identify as
I identify as a man. It was great. I think that's a great question. Your relationship with your own gender. So I've had three brothers. I've got three brothers, 2 older, 1 younger, so 4 boys in the family. And so I had a very sort of a bit of a father who was very strong. Didn't have a very emotional father. Didn't give him a lot of affection. He took a step in the right direction with us, but not all the way. And so my relationship with my dad was very difficult, but also very loving. But always seeking his approval. So I grew up just longing for his approval. And I think I passed that banner of when I moved out of home to other men in my life to want to be that, or and then to my first wife as well, just needing approval, just having this big approval deficit. I've always been really into theatre, and I was like the only guy. I went to an all-boys school, brought up Catholic, Catholic family as well, so I went to this Catholic boys' school. I was the only boy who did theatre, so I got sent off to the local girls' school to do theatre with them, and so I grew up actually having a lot of close female friends and feeling a lot more comfortable talking and being, having deep conversations with women, and so I didn't have a problem being a man, but I think other people might have. A problem of me being a man and being into theatre and into, it wasn't all the masculine tropes. I went to a boys' school. It was a big footy school. I wasn't into footy and all those things. I also became a Christian in my late teens, and so through a spiritual journey of looking at what all that was, and met some Christians, and that's been a big part of my life ever since. And I'm 41 now, and so looking at what God means by making me a man, and what He has for me to offer the world or offer people, and what God means by making women women, and I've since remarried. My first marriage ended very sadly, and in that time, one of the things I realised what ended my marriage was partly my real self-reliance and feeling like I couldn't share the things that I was struggling with, and that I was struggling with a fairly common male struggle with pornography, and that was a big part of my life, and dealt with it all. Whenever it would come up and be exposed, I would go, okay, I need to buckle down as a bloke and get my crap together and deal with it, and not be vulnerable and share and be open and needy and those sort of things. So I think I learned that actually this mask of masculinity needed to come smashing down, and it did for me. And so I realised that what partly being a real man is, and what God wants me to be, is someone who's real and honest and vulnerable. And so masculinity took a new shape for me through that season. And I've since remarried to a very wonderful, intelligent woman, and she is trained as a toxicologist, and worked for the coroner and everything, but had a real love for, or longing to be a mum as well. and so she had to grapple with how do you balance those things, and she wanted to be a stay-at-home mum, and for at least the early years, and so actually we've sort of taken on fairly traditional gender roles in terms of when I go to work, I know I'm supporting my family and providing, but yeah, we're also we've got a lovely 4-year-old girl, and so how I think about one, I don't have the model of a girl because I only had brothers, so now I think about how do I raise her to know that she's wonderfully made as she is, and know that that she's a girl, but that doesn't put her in this box. She can grow up and be a scientist, toxicologist, and guys can be theatre. So we have got these models of different things like that. So finding that balance between belief in that gender isn't just a social construct. That it is something real and beautiful and valuable, but that there's a whole bunch of social stereotypes that get laid on top of that of what that has to look like, which I've felt the conflict of in my growing up, and I want to pass on to my daughter freedom as a girl to not to embrace her gender, but not feel constricted by it.
Yeah, we'll just go around because I don't want to assume.
My name is Hajat, and this is, I think, is a very broad question, and at some stage we could say is a challenge for every society nowadays, the gender. But I personally think being a human is enough for things. It doesn't matter to be a man or a woman. I've, as far as I can remember, I've just been thinking like that. I couldn't actually find out. So is only a difference between two genders, or the other genders as well? Well, is the difference is not any being superior. I wouldn't find anything with that, because human is we connected to each other. So some ability is existing more in men and some abilities in women. So when they're working or having that correct connection, they can build very, very fascinating things or having nice lives. I think in general it's we are not really getting that correct education from the environment. An example was public restroom. So that is, it can be different for men and women, but only to keep the order, because it's not like, I don't think it's going to be very easy to find out individuals what they think about being in using one public restroom. So for keeping that order is fine, but we have to keep in mind that is only for keeping order. It's not like we should be all the time kept separate. You know what I'm saying? It can be going at the back of our mind. We can buy the reputation. We can get the thinking that we really different. We should be different. But I think with the education we could identify that. Yeah, in some places we need to be a little probably separate for just for, I don't know, you would say safety, for order, for whatever. But in general, no, I don't see any difference in two genders.
Can I ask what you mean by order?
Order means, we sometimes, I think a lot of times we get the mistake by if the police or court is doing something, is justice. No, it's not justice. It's to keep things in order. You know what I'm saying? We do the driving and stuff. We actually pay attention to some road rules. So that is order. So we don't get the accident.
Like communal rules.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, sometimes you can start. You probably with the things you have for doing today, probably you have the right, if it was like for, let's say, what is called, what they call for justice.
Society.
For the justice, you got very important thing to do for society, but you get stuck behind the traffic light. The same person next to you, the same, but he's or she, or they don't do anything very special. For justice wise, maybe you have a little more right to go, but you're stuck in the same place because you have to obey. You have to be doing something else, which is paying attention to the order. So all
so
the
with
citizens,
genders,
Yeah.
like separate because
Yeah.
there are some biological
Yeah.
differences.
yeah, we still have that differences.
Or
Like
so, yes, socially
if some people
constructed
go to
differences.
using same public restroom, it can be things happening there. But if they separate, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? So that's fine. We go home, but we don't keep that in mind everywhere. Male and female are different. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes those things. That was just an example.
Yeah.
So in many places, like many jobs, they do the same. Thinking probably this gender's got more right, or they can do better. But I think we don't need that really, because we are progressed enough to actually gain our needs. Instead, I think we need to pay attention to our ability to be more connected. You know what I'm saying? For some jobs, I think like it would be good to give the women some day off if they're pregnant, and they give them the payment. I think that is fair too, because they need a living. But some companies don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? And they have enough money for their lives. So those are issues.
So what was the question again? I just because it's very
I
general.
wanted
So
to
it's
think
more
about it more while I was setting
Yeah.
up that
it's about
like
how
our personal experience,
personal,
but also
Yep.
do we think we're following socially constructed
Okay,
gender
yeah.
roles, and then or biological, and then the third one was about positive. But what's positive about being a girl, and then what do you? I guess later we can ask questions. I guess that's like, what do we want to know about the other gender?
Because my experience of I identify as a woman, but I've always done. I think in my activity, I think I'm doing more male-dominated stuff, but I think even though we're sisters, I think we might see our mum a little bit differently. I think we've been brought up quite traditionally. Like I remember being told to wash the dishes, make the beds, do all that, and we ask our brothers,
Oh,
and we're
yeah.
like, they don't do that. And they're like, our brothers, we've got 3 brothers and there's 5 sisters, and they
We're
weren't
sisters.
Yeah, but they were, and I'm proud that, I was great that we were brought up, we were domesticated, because my brothers were all messy and didn't move out of home till they got married and stuff, and we moved out of home when we were 16 as soon as we could. So I think we were treated differently, so in a upbringing, the football was really important in our family, and I hate football because of it. I think that's a big reason why. Because I was sporty and no one watched me play netball or basketball or no one to dance. It's like, no, I'm going to watch your brothers play, so I've got some hang-ups, And my mum, I think she is very, my mum's not very feminine. I think she wanted more boys. So, now thinking about it, not like it's a bitter thing, it's just, so I think I'm really proud that I'm a strong woman. I identify as being a strong woman, but even though I work, I've always, not always, but in my later life, I've worked, like in my, late 20s, I don't think I had very strong, stereotypical brothers, like, they can't fix anything, they can't, we're more, but we expect them to be be that way. So my mum, so
And
they
Dad,
weren't stereotyped. I always saw my
she put
mum
him
being
down. She hammered
more
him.
the practical, and my dad was the emotional. So they were very opposing.
Yeah, right.
But so she was always a strong. Not the emotional, but you go and talk to dad about the emotions, not mum, sort of thing. But but still, I think in the back of my mind, I know that I think I'm a bit sexist sometimes. Like, I think being brought up, it's like, oh no, I'll ask a bloke about my car or fixing stuff, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, actually I can do that, and then
I ask blokes about my car.
yeah, I think we do, and even like now, I started thinking I want to work in the environment. I think working in the environment's I feel quite comfortable in the environment, being outside, and then all of a sudden the practical side of it. So that's when I first, I suppose, male-dominated career was firefighting, doing bush firefighting, and it was the best job as a female because you're very supported by men, and that's where I learnt a lot of the practical skills, and women, and it was because it's a bit of a comrade army sort of setup where if you're crew leader, you listen to your crew leader, whoever they are, you don't question. I felt very fortunate they have to employ 20% women, so I thought it was a really good place. Like I learnt from both, so that was always in my work career. Now it's always like just equal, as you were saying. There's no difference at all, but there is a little bit of a difference when we're not like if there's a big log to pick up, a couple of guys can do it because we're not as strong sometimes, but still we just do it in a certain way, so. But yeah, I don't see there's any difference, but still in the back of my head I still think, I don't know, I start judging girls a little bit harsher sort of thing sometimes, but guys can, and we've got to prove ourselves a lot more, so which is, I just sort of deal with that. And if I see a girl that she's not working as hard as she can, I get more angry at a guy. Like I just sort of accept that they're like no, come on, go prove yourself, sort of thing. So but yeah, like also you were sort of saying how, because I remember Maureen was always into boys, and I was always like, boys are good to play with, they're not good to kiss and stuff. I didn't want a boyfriend until I was, I reckon in my 30s I started no, because they're too much of a I don't know, we're very different, so it's they're not gonna tell me what to do.
Which is good.
And maybe
good.
Or not. Oh no, it's just very independent also. So it's the independence that I think Maureen and I sort of identified that as being different, sort of thing. But but like I remember Maureen being into guys more than I was at a younger age, and I think it's a complication of, I don't know.
Probably looked at it as dickheads.
No, but I like guys.
Because most guys are pretty stupid until they're about 30, actually.
Yeah, that's what I've actually.
I was anyway.
I can be sexist also and say, God, I actually prefer to work with guys because they're so much simpler in some ways. You can tell them off and they won't get offended.
Yeah, that's right.
With the girls, you have to be a little bit more, talk to them a certain way, and But I like the feminine side, and I love working. I think we are different, and not in myself, but that's my own personal sort of experience, like that. But then I have the same sort of relationship with guys, so I'm thinking of work, family. We're one of 6 girls, so. And only 2 boys now, so both my dad and my brother passed away, so we're a very female, but we're very socialist sort of, lefty sort of women, so, but we're all social workers and teachers and, all those nice things. But so my brother's a teacher too, so, I mean, there's feminine qualities, and so maybe how I identify that might be, I can argue that it's not the right thing, but, that's probably what I sort of deep down believe, and so you can break things into a relationship, how you act in relationships, how you work, your family, and I can say I work differently, with as a gender, as a female, I work differently, and sometimes I respect things, like if I want to be traditional, whatever, but it's up to me, not anyone else.
You're like a mum now.
Yeah, well, I'm the only girl that didn't have kids, and that's the thing when Maureen said she didn't feel like a woman when she had her tubes tied. Well, my mum has got 17 kids, grandkids, I don't know. But she keeps on saying, why don't you want children? That's what you've been born for. That's what, you're not a real woman if you don't. That's okay. It's just a Maltese thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
also, when my education, like, she'd be like, well, don't worry about school. You just marry someone and make sure they're rich, you know.
yeah,
That's
right.
okay. It's a traditional thing. It's just like, it's just what you think, you know. It's like,
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It's just how she thought sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, you marry someone, they give you a house, you be a good
Yeah.
wife. But,
Yeah.
you know, she's still, but now
Well,
she's...
it's old school. It's not just
But
Malta.
now she,
It's,
yeah, it's
it's
old school. I
Yeah.
can say that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I think from when you're even like she came here in the
It's a
'60s,
very
you're still
Catholic country.
stuck in that
Right,
time.
okay,
You don't
yep.
jump out of it so much so
Yep.
quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, I think there was something else I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just make a comment on the
Yep.
one of the things that you said your mom liked boys more than girls?
Yeah.
Is I think
Oh,
is
No, she just maybe she identified.
well,
more.
that is I think in every society. Used
Yeah,
to be
sure,
like that.
that's true.
It was, and it's
still
like
is.
genetic thing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the
Yeah.
men could physically protect the family,
Yeah, sure,
and it was
sure.
not the safety that we have nowadays.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
yeah.
they were high valuable for
Yeah.
keeping things alive.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
sure,
that was
sure.
dead and alive thing.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like they wanted
Oh,
to.
no, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like I think, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
But
I know what you're saying.
there is
carries
there is a
on.
but
in
there.
the
in-
wars, in the things
Yeah,
between
yeah.
tribes.
But there is a but there, and that is that I've seen over and over again, and I could be stepping out of line here, but I find that when children are brought up by a single mother and the dad's gone and there's no father influence, it can make a big difference on how that, with boys especially, how boys are. Yeah, they need that father figure, and I see it over and over again. There's something about it, and I can't think at this point what it exactly is, but I know there's a huge difference, and boys do need that father figure
Yeah.
around it
Yeah,
of some
as a
sort.
symbol.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
and I'm just jumping.
Yeah,
into
as a
the-
role model.
Yeah, I'm
That's
just jumping
all right,
into
you're
the.
next, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
No, go ahead. Go
No, no, I'm finished.
All right. Okay.
Do you think it's because they look at themselves and go, I'm a boy, I need someone to model it? And look
I
at
think
their
that's
mom
for
as like,
both genders.
quite-
Well, it could be that, but it could be something deeper, and that's my big question: is it nature or nurture? And I had this very conversation with Ollie. You know Ollie?
Chelsea?
No, not
No,
Ollie.
no,
No,
no.
Ollie Chum Creek. So this guy's in his late 20s. So we're really good friends, and I took him to the airport as well as with my daughter and her boyfriend on Wednesday, and we had this conversation all the way to the airport at 5:30 in the morning. But it was about nature and nurture. Is that, you know, well, for one thing, we have severe problems globally, and that is old fucking white men are running the planet, and it's scary as shit, because really they're just overtaking everything in a really seriously bad way, and there's not enough women in the whole process of politics, full stop. You know, it needs to be balanced across all boards, you know, and you get all these men saying, oh, but women won't know how to do it or whatever. Bullshit. I mean, it's like manufacturing. And I mean, Second World War, when the men were fighting out in the battlefields, the women were making the bloody weapons and did a better job. And when they were actually assembling the actual ammunitions, each woman was in a separate bunker to all the other women. So they were severely separated, because if they made one little slip with their fingers, they could blow themselves up. And this is just out in Deer Park, so this is west of Melbourne. And this is where they were putting it together, and women did a better job because they're so much better with their fingers, their dexterity. And so you've got that going on. But back to the conversation I was having with this young friend, and I don't know how the conversation came about, but you know, I'm saying that we are biologically different, and so that makes us, we have separate qualities, which is great, which is really good thing, so that men and women we have a yin and yang going on, so that we connect together in a good way, we complement each other. And he was saying, well, not necessarily. And I'm going, okay, yeah, why is that? And he said, well, he said, well, back to the primitive days, what happens with the hunter and gatherer, the guy, the traditional guy goes and gets killed, and the woman brings up the child. She takes on the male role model as well, and we can do that. Women can do that, or men can do that as well, and men do that in Western society. When you have a split up in a relationship, and the men take the children for so much, for a weekend or whatever it is, men take on the female role quite often and do the cooking and cleaning and blah blah blah. So, and he said that his argument was it's our conditioning that either of us can go either way. It all depends on whether we have the will to do it. And now I'm just thinking, well, here's a seriously good point. So I don't know where it lies, but we are biologically different because we can't have children. And it's like I've got 4 boys and 1 daughter, and they all gravitate towards, boys naturally gravitate towards something with a wheel and something that rolls along, whereas Joe naturally gravitated towards the doll thing, even though we tried to split it up. It was just a natural thing that happened. So it's an element of both. So to me, it doesn't matter. We all have our own qualities, and that could be whether we're male, female, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I was brought up traditionally, same, mum and dad, old school. But I never thought differently anyway. But I was always different. That I always had female friends, which is great, because I had better conversations with them. They were so much more interesting. Guys could talk about fucking sport and boring shit. But women, you could talk about life itself, and I found that really good. We've been friends for quite a few years ourselves. So it's great. Yeah. So. Yeah, anyway, that's all I can say, really. It's funny, really, because, I lived a bit of a biker lifestyle for a while there, and so it was partying pretty hard. And anyway, if someone had come to me, all those years ago and said, that I'm going to have 5 children, I would have got the snip the next day. I was going, fuck off. I'm out of here, and I would have got the snip. Anyway, wasn't to be, and so I had 5 children. Probably most of them were accidents. I say that to them as well. They're fine with that. But the thing is, though, really, it's been great. It's fantastic, And now, once they've gotten older, we have great conversations. I party with them, and festivals, and travel with them. It's fantastic. So I every now and then I think about, well, what would have happened if I didn't have children? Who knows? It would be a totally different story. So really, I just think it's been really good. But
no children.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it would have been. I would have been. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hate to think. Anyway, that'll do me.
I don't know. I find it interesting because we've got a 5-year-old son. We were